Now that the first wave of free agency is in the books, what we have left is daily updates on Aaron Rodgers' trade talks between the Packers and the Jets. More Odell Beckham Jr. to Team X is about to happen. But above all else, we can get back to overreacting to mock drafts. And not to be a hypocrite here, I feel like I need a drink every time I see a mock with the Vikings selecting a corner in the first round. But earlier today, Daniel Jeremiah released his mock draft 3.0 on NFL.com. And at pick 23, he has the Minnesota Vikings selecting Hendon Hooker, quarterback out of Tennessee. Now, before I say what I'm about to say, Hendon Hooker, that's my guy. I'm leading the brigade to get him to Minnesota. Okay. For the masses, this would be a Stretch Armstrong of a reach at pick 23, projected to be a third-round pick, possibly second round, either way, a day 2 pick. 2 years at Tennessee, 69% completion rate, over 6,000 yards, 58 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Playing in the SEC. But that doesn't matter because he's old and he played in a Toys R Us offense and he's coming off a torn ACL. That's incredible. It's amazing how we take a fine-tooth comb to pick apart players with great accomplishments. It's like trying to undercut a house by 50 grand because of the one breadcrumb that you found in the corner of an otherwise well-cleaned kitchen. Pick these players apart at the same time. Create things that aren't there for another player that somehow is head and shoulders above option A. Anthony Richardson played in the same SEC as Hendon Hooker, nowhere close in passing skills, which is, I don't know, the number one thing you want in a quarterback. But the consensus is he's a top 10 pick, easily, maybe even top 5. Because, oh my God, the athleticism and the potential and the upside. And did you see his combine? AKA shadow boxing where anybody can look impressive. But I'm off it. If the Vikings were to select Hendon Hooker at pick 23, would it be a disaster? Well, it depends who you ask. So it's widely agreed upon that he'll be available in day 2. Why not use your first round pick to go best player available, get back in line, wait your turn, and take him in the second or third round? But as it pertains to the Vikings, who I don't think they'll follow suit with Daniel Jeremiah's prediction, but hypothetically speaking, if they've made up in their minds that they're done with Kirk Cousins after next season, we're moving on. If they believe Hendon Hooker is their guy, they don't want to take any chances missing out on him, go ahead and lock it in. Next season will be the study year for him where he can sit and learn. After next year, Kirk Cousins, he's gone. In comes Hendon Hooker, and you don't miss a beat at quarterback. If he's your guy, take him. Screw what everyone else thinks. He's projected to be a day 2 pick. First round grade, second round grade. The whole draft is a crapshoot. Nobody knows how these players are going to turn out. All you can do is thorough research to make the best possible choice for your organization. Projections from the outside. It makes for good content, but the reality is none of it matters. It's not gospel. Why else do we get, at the end of every season, why else do we get redrafts? To where we say, after the fact, knowing what we know now, because clearly we didn't know back then, here's how we do it again. This is a redraft from CBS Sports on the 2022 draft class. At pick 7, right tackle Abraham Lucas now goes to the New York Giants. Lucas, by the way, selected by Seattle, 72nd overall, a third-round pick. The Draft Network's consensus was, yeah, this is a third-round pick. But now, after the fact, if we had to do it all over again, 7th pick overall. By the way, the Giants selection in the actual draft at that time, pick 7, Evan Neal, he was a disaster. Tariq Woolen, 5th round pick last year. Walter Football's scouting report on him at the time was he could be a day 2 or day 3 pick. Now, after the fact, CBS Sports has him as a 13th overall pick. Brock Purdy, drafted with the 262nd overall pick, last pick in the 2022 draft. Redrafts got him as the 16th pick. Stephon Diggs was drafted in the 5th round. So was Rodney Harrison. Tom Brady selected in the 6th round. With Hendon Hooker, if the Vikings believe that that's their guy, go ahead and get him. if we're saying, well, he's old, I say he's coming into the league more mature than most. He ran a Mickey Mouse offense at Tennessee. He can only run the offense that the coaches designed. I say he did a great job of learning, and he's coming off a torn ACL. Everybody gets hurt in football. RDS says, Lamar is a terrific talent, but he commands such a high price that some team will mortgage their future to get him. This has been proven time and time again to be a bad way to go. Vikings know it, Herschel Walker for one. It's easy to lust for the glitz and glitter, but the Vikes should build a team, not a player. I agree with you. And at this point, the only way that I would mortgage the future for a quarterback is if he's a game-changing player, if he can make up for the deficiencies elsewhere. So Patrick Mahomes, for example, I know he'll never be available. A guy like that will never be available to trade for in the first place. But the Chiefs, they did invest in him a $500 million contract. But you know what? It works out for them because we couldn't afford Tyreek Hill. Okay, outside of Travis Kelce, my goodness, he doesn't have any weapons. He has Juju Smith-Schuster, at least last year anyway. No, as the wide receiver one, no other quarterback in the league could win with that offense except Patrick Mahomes. So if you're going to pay a quarterback $50+ million a year, he better make up for the deficiencies. Does Lamar Jackson do that? I don't think so. Sneed Baton says, the fact that so many other teams have come out publicly and said they don't want him, meaning Lamar Jackson, is troubling. I don't know if it's because he doesn't have an agent, has been tough to work with, or his injury history, but it's not a good sign. I don't think him representing himself has anything to do with it, because if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, but if I'm not mistaken, left tackle Laramie Tunsil of the Houston Texans, I believe he represents himself, and he just got paid. Injury history, sure, I think that has something to do with it. I think the main issue is putting in all that work for the Baltimore Ravens to potentially match it, doing all that work for nothing. I think that's the main problem. If Lamar Jackson was an unrestricted free agent, no holds bar, he would have been signed by now. And lastly, Original Mindset says, and you were very selective with the caps lock button, so I'm going to read it as it was written. Original Mindset says, do your homework before you make a false statement. Lamar's accuracy and completion ratings are just as good as Kirk Cousins over his entire career. Add 600 to 700 rushing yards to that as well a season. And the fact that he can get out of situations with his athleticism that Cousins can only do in his dreams. First off, career-wise, Lamar Jackson has a 64% completion rate, Kirk Cousins 67%. And you may say, well, that's 3 points. That's pretty damn close. We're not talking about two students that take a final exam. One got a 70, the other got a 73. It's both a C either way. Who cares? We're talking about professional sports. In basketball, if one player is shooting 35% beyond the arc, the other 38%, if you're saying they're the same player, then you're also saying that you believe in Josh Richardson just as much as you do Kyrie Irving shooting from deep, which of course you don't. But okay, let's pretend like a 3-point difference is no big deal. Okay, and I'll even say that I agree that Lamar Jackson has never had a receiver like Kirk Cousins has, right? Okay. Interceptions. Are we going to come up with some excuse for that? I think that's a pretty good way to gauge inaccuracy, or accuracy for that matter. Lamar Jackson has played in just 24 games the last 2 years. Okay. In those 24 games, Lamar Jackson has thrown 20 interceptions. Now, Kirk Cousins, just to scale back, just to make it fair on an even playing field, just looking at his first 12 games each of the last 2 years, 24 games, 12 interceptions. 20, 12. That's a big difference. Also, for S&Gs, according to Pro Football Reference, Lamar had the 10th highest bad throw percentage. Kirk 19th. The year before that, 2021, Lamar 5th worst, Kirk Cousins 18th. The fact of the matter is, Lamar Jackson is nowhere close to the passer that Kirk Cousins is. And I can't stand Kirk. Y'all really got me out here defending Kirk Cousins right now. It's nowhere close. Lamar Jackson is flashier and he can make highlight plays, but throwing the football at an accurate rate, give me Kirk Cousins all day.